Hi everyone, my name is Chantel and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special video for you because it is the first collaboration of this year. And the collaboration is with KATELYN MCCAIGUE. If you don't know KATELYN, you should really check out her channel because it is truly awesome. She's on a roll drawing 100 dragons, she creates monster mashups, original character designs, and she has the odd fun videos where you get to know her a little bit better. Her art is truly magical and super colorful, so please head on over to her channel to find out what she drew for our collaboration after watching this video. And if you're here from her channel, welcome to my channel. So as I just said, KATELYN wrote the lore for this story, the background story behind the character, and I am creating the environment this character spends most of their time in. But without further delay, let's get creating. So let me start off by telling you a little bit more about our collaboration. I contacted KATELYN and I said, do you want to collab? And she said yes, and here we are. So we started talking and we came up with she drawing the character and I will create the character's environment. So let me tell you just a little bit more about the story of this diorama. I'm creating a workshop for Aerothorn, who is the head artificer to the royal court of the land of Corvus. The workshop is set on the Isles of Aerie, which is inhabited by orcs. Aerothorn is helping restoring the orcs on the Isles to their true glory and invents and creates new limbs for them. And if you would like to know the full story behind this character, you will have to head over to her channel. Let me get into what I'm creating here. I started off with a circular piece of MDF that is going to be the main base of my miniature. What I'm going to create in this video is an orc hut. It is very much out of my comfort zone, mainly because most miniatures I create have straight walls and are not organically shaped like you will see with this hut. I rolled up the cardboard just so it takes a more round shape for the hut, cut it down to size and cut an entrance and some windows. Then I glue the entire wall onto the MDF board. From another piece of cardboard, I created a slanted roof. I then cover the entire outside wall with strips of balsa wood because it's lightweight and easy to work with. This project has so many ugly stages, as most artistic projects do, but trust me, it will come together in the end. For the inside, I'm using multi-purpose filler and I'm applying that to the entire interior, including the ceiling with a palette knife. Once this is dry, I'm adding strips of balsa wood to the ceiling and the walls to give it that structural look on the inside of the building. Moving on to the roof covering, I wanted this to have a leather, patchy kinda look. So I made faux leather from a piece of cheesecloth, acrylic paints and Mod Podge. Letting the layers dry in between applications, you put down the color you want the faux leather to be in acrylic paint, a layer of Mod Podge, another layer of paint and a final layer of Mod Podge. And you end up with a wonderful piece of faux leather. I'm cutting the faux leather into small patches that will be going on the roof. Before continuing on the roof, I'm going to paint the wood on the outside walls with acrylic paint. Then back to the roof. I'm adding this hay-like stuff to the roof with hot glue. This will be sticking out from underneath the leather patches that will be going on top. The hay is just a filler that you can find at art and craft stores, especially around Easter time. It gives a great effect, however, it is so messy to work with. It is then time to add the faux leather. I only attach the first patch to the cardboard and then attach all the other patches to each other. This way I can take off the entire piece that is glued together and then add stitch details. I poke some holes where I want to add the stitches to make it easier to put the needle through, and add the stitches with embroidery thread. Before I put the leather on the roof, I'm adding more of the hay to the top part of the roof and then add the leather patches to finish it off. I wanted to add more depth to the wood on the outside of the building, so I'm dry brushing on a lighter color and I'm continuing this on the leather roof to make it look more worn. To add more detail to the inside of the building, I'm adding chalk pastels to the white walls just next to the wood so it looks like it's worn and old. I'm also adding some to the wood on the outside of the building. I was basically just trying this out as I went, but it actually works really well on painted balsa wood. Then it's time to add a little bit more landscaping. I'm adding pieces of foil which I glue onto the MDF board just to give the landscape more variety and make it look more natural. I'm then adding modeling paste onto the entire surface. You can use many other media for this, but I had never tried this before to use on a landscape and I thought it would blend in the foil, and it did. With the modeling paste still wet, I sprinkled on the first layer of ground cover. The ground covers I am using for this diorama can be found in your cupboard. I'm using dried rooibos and black tea, and also basil and oregano. Ground covers at modeling shops can get quite pricey, and by using the tea and herbs as ground covers just gives you a cheaper option. Whilst the outside first layer is drying, I am moving on to the inside of the hut to continue the ground layer of rooibos tea. Once the outside layer is dry, I put on a coat of PVA glue mixed with water. I didn't have a spare spray bottle on hand to put the mixture in, but I'm pouring it on with a little applicator bottle and brush it on over the surface. Then I put another layer of ground cover on top. Once that is dry, I apply one more coat of PVA and water mixture and let that dry. I thought this place could use some skulls, because the miniature skulls are pretty expensive and I probably would not get them on time. I decided to make my own out of polymer clay, along with some tusks that I will be putting in the landscape outside the hut. Then from more polymer clay I'm creating a foliage and a range hood. I think in another project I would probably make them out of cardboard, but I wanted to try and make them from polymer clay just to see how it would turn out. I don't think this is my best clay creation ever, but I suppose it works for this project. For the glowing coals in the forge, I pressed in some actual small rocks and poured some liquid sculpey over it. This will merge the rocks to the project in the oven and I actually achieved the look I was going for. For the range hood, I made the main shape from foil first, then brushed it with liquid sculpey and covered it with sculpey clay. Then added some details and texture to it, but I kept it fairly simple and you will see why soon. I removed some of the balsa wood that I stuck to the wall before, where I'm going to place the forge and the range hood. From some painted egg carton that I had left over from a previous project, I cut out small tiles that I glued to the wall behind the forge. After baking the polymer clay, it's time to paint. I'm going for a very simple black and off-white dry brushed on top. I did dry brush some gold paint on the range hood, but I changed that back later. To make the coals glow, I'm using red and yellow acrylic paints and paint that just in between the merged rocks. I then glued them in place with super glue. Here I am making a chimney from a bendy straw. It won't stay pink, don't worry. I'm just letting the glue dry for now and I'm going back to the landscape. I'm adding some more greens and browns to bring out the colors a little bit more. I'm painting the chimney black and dry brush it with silver acrylic paint to bring out the details. I found an old piece of jewelry that will be perfect as the top of the chimney, which I will just be gluing on top. Let's finish this landscape. One of my favorite things to do is adding details, as that really brings a project to life. This is not any different, so I'm adding the tusks to the landscape, some details to the building, and mainly using bits and pieces that I already had in my stash. Next to the door and on the out and inside, I'm gluing a wing and I'm adding metal leaf details to the range hood. This is the reason why I didn't add many details to the polymer clay in the range hood. I thought, why not add some of the mini stuff that came in the Jezza Mega Minis box? Just a few bits and bobs to put on the wall. So I've painted them with a base coat, then silver and a dark wash. After that was dry, I added some copper paint to bring out some of the details. And super gluing them into place on the wall. Because Katelyn has shown me her drawing, I thought it would be cool to add a little element from that drawing into my diorama. This element was the work table. It is a little piece of balsa wood that I aged up with a nail file and painted with a dark wash. The table leg is a piece of a branch to make it look more natural for this diorama. The two seats that will be on either side of the table are trimmed down pieces of balsa wood and stained with the same dark brown wash as the table. I painted some seats that I found in my local area black with silver highlights to put in the diorama. You can see them in the background. I also made a little chest from a piece of balsa wood. I stained it brown and added details with a black Posca pen and a tiny nail for the closure of the chest. Then for the final part of this diorama, I added a fire pit that will sit in the middle of the floor in the hut. This was something that was very common in the medieval times and I thought it would fit in nicely for this diorama. I made a mixture of fine sand and wood glue and applied this to the middle of the room. Around that I put some black pebbles and in the middle of the fire pit I placed some little twigs And with that, the diorama is done. Let's have a look at the final project. And this is it for my very first D&D diorama. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed working on it and I love how it turned out. I want to thank Katelyn for collaborating with me. Please make sure you head over to Katelyn's channel to find out the full lore and see her awesome drawing. If you would like to support me, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon. You can find the link in the end card of this video or in the description box below. And if you're new here, welcome! Please don't forget you can click the subscribe button to become part of the Raven family. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!